Respected Chairperson, dignitaries, friends, colleagues, I would like to thank Dr. Ram Vishwakarma and Dr. Bedi and the dignitaries who had specifically come from University of Mississippi and who had agreed to conduct, have been working along with us to understand about possibilities of working in drug development area, especially in botanical drug development area. Thank you so much for that. The subject today is drug discovery possibilities emerging from integrative medicine practice. Before I start, I would like to recollect one editorial which has come up in JAMA in 2000. The JAMA editorial said that there is no alternative medicine or complementary medicine, there is only one medicine, and that is evidence-based medicine which is clinically efficient. This is what JAMA editorial said, and that was really inspiring for me, because we were always worried whether so yesterday you had all heard what Dr. Trahan's vision about integrative medicine is. It is very simple, and therefore it had been very easy for me to follow. And he says that the aim of integration is to offer the best possible cure, care and management to the traditional medicine in a very detailed manner. We understand that traditional medicine, especially Ayurveda and yoga that we are practicing here, has a long tradition, long history, and has a lot of data available across the globe, across India, and thousands of years worth of literature available with us. But still, there are large question marks which come when we start practicing that in a very sophisticated clinical facility such as Medanta. So one of our main aim was to test our therapeutic claims. We do that by practicing Ayurveda and actually looking at what is the outcome from each and every patient. Working together, the next stage is to working together with the modern medical doctors and trying to identify their areas of unmet need and trying to support that with the therapeutic knowledge which you have created, and then trying to find out whether this could be brought together permanently and create a protocol out of that. So we have created a kind of picture for it. We call this the axial model of integrative medicine, and we have 3 phases for it. The first and foremost what we understand is that in Medanta, the allopathic system is the main system of medicine. But we also understand that allopathic system is incomplete in care delivery. There's a lot of deficiencies in allopathic system which we are ready to accept. So we accept that allopathic system is the main system, then we accept that it's a deficient system and which needs to be supported by evidence-based integration. So what we do here is we do parallel practice. That means I practice along with my allopathic counterparts over here in almost every kind of therapy that an Ayurvedic doctor can look into, and then we create data. We create very, very detailed data about each and every patient who comes to us. And then the next stage is very crucial, because with this data, when I know that there is evidence that it is working, I go to clinicians like Dr. Kataria and Dr. White and then tell them that this is what I have found, and I think that there is a possibility we could work together, or I ask them whether there is any use for this information for you. And then we work together and we try to identify possibilities of working together. We look at whether the patient is benefiting, is there any side effect, is the combinations causing any problem, because this is also through rigorous on intense data mining and following up the patient. And once we know that it is working, we intend to change that into protocol. In fact, we have only one protocol existing in Medanta in this particular direction, but we have several areas which we are working in the complementary phase, and of course around 91 different areas where we are working in the parallel phase. This is a perceived benefit survey which was done by us very early when we started working in Medanta. We just wanted to know whether we are actually beneficial, rather than whether it's a perception or a general perception or a social understanding or what it is. So we called up patients who had completed 3 months of their treatment and who had last visited us 3 months before. So we called them up, and in different areas there were around 167 responses which we got from around 389 patients, and we asked them whether their quality of life has increased or improved, and 71% of them told us that it is definitely improved. And then we asked them whether there is any clinical improvement, which you say other than quality of life, is there any real clinical improvement that you feel? And we asked them to rate us from 0 to 10, and we had, on an average, we got 7 out of 10. That means it is a pretty, very valid intervention which we had been giving to the patients. Actually, if you look at some of them, like let us say oral health, we got 10 out of 10, and acne management, we got 10 out of 10. UTI and renal calculi management, we got 10 out of 10. So there are several areas where we were able to score full marks. So we were quite proud at that time, and we thought that okay, we were doing a good job, so we should follow up with this. The current number of patients we have is 4,753. This is till October 2013, till September 2013, and in 2012 and 2013 we had 2,010 patients. The referral number of patients in this is around 357, which is approximately 25% of our patients are based on referrals. If you look at the kind of patients who come to us, patients who come for Ayurvedic care and patients who come for integrative medicine care are slightly different. The maximum number of patients who come to us for Ayurvedic care directly are vertebral disc diseases, disc prolapse, pain, cervical neck pain, low back pain, etc. That's the maximum number of patients we have. This is the data from 2012 to 2013. Then the gastrointestinal problem of GERD, insomnia, constipation, knee joint pain, migraine, upper respiratory tract infection, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, and gynecology. These are the different areas where this is the first 10 group of diseases which we have in 2012 and 2013. But if you look at the referral patients who come to us, referral patients, I would like to say, come to us because we had been able to show some benefit in that area, and we had been able to convince a doctor that we will be able to benefit their patients, and the doctors themselves got convinced over a period of time that we are benefiting the patient. It is not that they are just referring to save their face. They are actually referring for supporting the patient or giving better care to the patient. So if you look at that, we have pre and post minimally invasive thoracic surgical patients who are the maximum number. Then we have stroke rehabilitation, sleep disorders, post-thoracotomy pain, head and neck cancer, chronic pelvic pain syndrome, inflammatory joint disorders, stress management, Parkinson's, and low ejection fraction. These are the areas where we get referrals for. If you try to compare, you can understand that only in inflammatory joint disorders and rheumatoid arthritis there is a commonness, or otherwise you look at insomnia and sleep disorders, we have a commonness. Otherwise, the pattern of diseases which are coming to us or which are referred are really different. Now, this will also give you an insight about the kind of patients we are seeing and where we are seeing them. We see patients like this, the inpatient data as far as 2013 July is concerned, that is 30th of July is concerned. So we have degenerative vertebra patients. There are 2 patients. They are referred and they are in the inpatient, means they are admitted here. Then if you look at, we have patients in the high dependency unit. We have 3 patients. We have in the ICU. We have 3 patients. There are patients from radiation oncology. We have from critical care, internal medicine. There are 2 patients from Ayurveda who are directly admitted at that period. We have 2 from neurology, and this is the kind of the wide spectrum of patients that we get over here. I just made this slide so that this is for you to understand that we see a large number of patients, and these are all, most of them, if you look at them, other than 2 of the Ayurvedic patients, every one of them are referred patients and for a specific purpose. Now, notable outcomes from the integrative medicine practice had been, we had been very good in managing pain. Actually, we had been good in managing neuralgia of post-thoracotomy neuralgia, chronic pelvic pain syndrome, which modern medicine doesn't have any kind of an answer, pain due to vertebral disc compressions. We had been able to manage that wonderfully well, and migraine, dry gangrene, and osteoarthritic knee joint pain. This is something which is very well known in the Ayurvedic sphere, osteoarthritis management. Then we have preventing radiation-induced tissue damage. That is with Dr. Kataria. We have had a large number of patients who had been working. As Dr. Kataria said, we use different kinds of concoctions, which are very simple. We use a combination of triphala and mulethi and honey, but we vary the constitution according to the requirement of the patient. Sometimes we avoid triphala, sometimes we add mulethi, and sometimes we use only mulethi. But depending upon the patient's condition, we vary this, and we have the data regarding for which patient what has been used. Improved outcomes in minimally invasive thoracic surgery. Then we have stroke rehabilitation, which is for improved quality of life and recovery, bleeding disorders, which is thrombocytopenia. I'm proud to say that in most of the thrombocytopenic patients in Medanta, especially during the past dengue attack in Delhi and Gurgaon, most of them who had lost their platelet count less than 50,000 had been referred to us by the internal medicine department straight away, because they wanted to support the patient so that their platelet count doesn't go down and it actually got elevated. So we had been successfully able to support them in that reason. Then we have insomnia patients, but we don't work well in sleep apnea. So we don't work with sleep apnea patients. So we are told the respiratory medicine team that don't send the sleep apnea patients because we cannot work with them, or we don't benefit them. Sorry. If you look at these possibilities, where we are looking at drug development possibilities, but when we look at research possibilities, there are 3 research possibilities or commodity possibilities from this. One is a drug, second is a technique, and third is a procedure or a therapeutic regimen which we can develop using the integrative medicine program. So as discussed earlier with radiation oncology team and Dr. Kataria specifically, we are working in breast cancer we are adding a yoga program for breast cancer patients. And in head and neck cancer patients, we are giving them mouth washes to prevent radiation-induced tissue damage. In neurology, we are working with Dr. Arvind Garg and Dr. Sumit Singh in Parkinson's syndrome and stroke and vegetative state recovery. It had been something we had been very good in recovering the consciousness of several patients. We had until now around 6 patients who had been vegetative and who had been sent to us. Out of which, at least for 4, we had been able to make some kind of a benefit to the patient relative, in the sense that they had started eye tracking, and some of them had started moving their limbs and smiling when talked to, etc., which for us, until we started working close to the patient, it was not much, but once we started working closely with the patient, it was a huge thing for the patient's relative. When you call their name and if the patient starts tracking your eye, tracking you, that is a huge jump in their quality of life or their perception of how they are connecting with their relative. So it was really interesting for us. We work with minimally invasive thoracic surgery team with Dr. Ali Zamir Khan in better recovery of minimally invasive thoracic surgery patients. Here we have identified areas where we work with different oils in different conditions, and we also work with a liquid liquid decoction made of milk and few herbs, depending upon the kind of pain which the patient has. And this also offers us an opportunity to look at why that drug is acting as a pain management tool. So maybe that is one area where we could be working on. In urology, we had been very good in managing chronic pelvic pain syndrome, and simultaneously we also found that we are able to manage obstructive urine flow. Like when we were working with these patients, we found that a few combinations of medicine, we had been able to consistently improve the urine flow of patients, which was obstructed otherwise. Respiratory and sleep medicine, we are working with Dr. Bonali Datta and team, but it's a yoga-based program where we think that there is a possibility of therapeutic addition as yoga and Shirodhara for the patients in insomnia. In internal medicines, we have Dr. Prasad Rao, Dr. Lalita Shekhar, Dr. Susila Kataria. We are working on thrombocytopenia. And critical care, Dr. Yatin Mehta and Abhinav Gupta. We are working on multi-drug resistant infections, and we are also working on difficult to wean from ventilator patients. So there are, as I said, there are 3 opportunities presented by all these areas where we could either be looking at products, we could be looking at medicinal drugs, or we could also be looking at procedural research and exploring it further. In our own department, we know that we are very good in managing weight loss. We had been working at our data, and we found that certain kind of treatments consistently gives you very good weight loss, which we intend to follow through. and then we have obstructed urination and gallstones. There had been 2-3 cases where we are able to reduce the size of gallstones. Whether it is useful clinically or not is something which we need to look at, but anyway, we had been able to reduce the size of gallstones. And then we have a combination of 2 drugs which had been found to be extremely good in reducing elevated triglyceride levels. That's also something which we need to look at. We might be going back to the basic sciences. We want to work with IIIM in that area. In cervical pain or low back pain, of course, it is a therapeutic regimen which we are good at. Osteoarthritis knee, and we are also looking at the prakriti of thoracotomy pain. Certain patients after surgical intervention of thoracotomy, they get pain, and which doesn't go. So why we are just trying to see whether there is any correlation and the kind of pain they explain. We are just trying to find out whether there is any correlation between prakriti of Ayurveda and this kind of pain. So these are the drug leads which we are already on. We are working on diabetic vascular complications. It's a compound herbal extract, and we are working at. We are trying to file an IND under, and we are trying to also work on the filling up the gap, preclinical gap. We expect to file an IND with the DCGI and also hope to do it with the US FDA as a botanical. And we are working on solid tumors. Of course, we are working that along with IIIM in that. It's a pure naturally occurring chemical, and this also we expect to file an IND with the DCGI as well as with the US FDA. We have identified a single herb which is extremely good in wound healing. This we have to take through the preclinical efficacy studies and take it forward. GI cancer, we have a combination of 2 drugs which has been found to be good, which with data we have from the clinical clinical outcomes which we had measured in our hospital itself. And thrombocytopenia I had already explained to you, which we are already working with IIIM in this. As an example how we are taking the drugs forward, we have diabetic vascular complications. We had already done, we have a past clinical experience of that. We have collected the data, analyzed that. We have the analytical data. We have extremely advanced analytical data in that. We have done the safety studies. We have done efficacy, and we are doing the mechanism of action and PKPD at IIIM. We will be going for phase 1, phase 2 studies and phase 3 studies with Medanta right now here. We expect to reach that stage in maybe around 1.5 to 2 years time. Thrombocytopenia is this is another drug, which is an example. This is a single herb. We have the past clinical data. Actually, we have the present clinical data also, which since we are already giving it as an Ayurvedic drug here, and we have the analytical data, safety data, efficacy is being studied, mechanism of action is being studied, PKPD is being done. These 3 are being done by IIIM, and we will be taking it through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. This is the research endpoints and transition from short-term to long-term goals for Medanta. We think that we will be doing the general practice first. We will identify areas which is important for us, and then I'm sorry about the dark color. It somehow happened, but first of all, in the first 3 years, we thought that we will be collecting the data about where we are actually useful, and then we will go into validating the practice-based the evidences which we have and validate them, and then we translate that evidence into standards of care, and then we are looking at publications in this phase. That's from the 3 to 5 years, this year and the next year. And post that, we think that we will be looking at target-specific therapeutic drugs, microbiomics, and predictable diseases and preventive care. This is what we want to do in the next from the 5th year to 7th year. We will be laying our foundations for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Krishnan. Certainly sounds to me the time Brian takes up putting together. With that one, he from Ayurvedic perspective, but he will tell you that from both experience, since he has worked with NK in US, a lot of Western institutions, so he will give the perspective from both sides.